Well, hello. Welcome back to the Recruiter of Oz podcast. My name is Scott Smith. I am joined today by a couple of people. First, my co-host, Mark Tortorisi, who I had been pronouncing his name wrong like for 10 years. And we have a third guest, I guess we're all guests. Yes, so third guest today, who is joining us in a response to the first tips and tricks episode that we did. Today, Mark and I are both joined by David Puente, who is an industry sourcer and a former Meta colleague of Mark's. David, hey, say hi, and why don't you give a little bit of background on yourself?
Sure. Hi, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
You bet.
I've been sourcing now for sourcing recruiting, full life cycle, lead gen, sourcing all the way until offer extension for the past 9 plus years. I've been in staffing as well as the corporate world. Just love everything about sourcing. Love everything about recruiting. The impact that I have on individuals and the companies as well. So I'm happy to be here and be able to help other individuals, help them find their jobs, their next job.
That's awesome. We're really glad to have you. And so when I heard that you were interested in coming on the show and, you had some things to augment the initial conversation Mark and I had about tips and tricks, I was really curious because it already blown my mind as some of the things that we have access to without really trying that hard. In fact, I've actually employed a lot of the tips and the approaches that Mark provided on the last one. So I'm really curious to kind of hear how you follow that on, because again, this is all new to me. And I think that for a lot of the listeners of this podcast, they're going to find this very interesting because again, as I mentioned in the last episode, we many of us, I'll say, really default to a couple of main sites. So that's LinkedIn. It might be Craigslist, depending on how early you are in your career. There might be Indeed or Glassdoor or places like that. But as we found out, those aren't really the best places to conduct that job search. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about kind of your approach to looking for those jobs?
Yes. So for me, I was unfortunately impacted by the layoffs in March. And since layoffs had been happening already for a few months, I was getting a really good feel for what individuals were doing. I was seeing the pain in LinkedIn, how they were applying to an opportunity. And then within an hour, 2 hours, there was hundreds of applicants already. And so I decided that when I source, I like the Google X-ray. I prefer that. It's my method. I think I can get more specific results, more aligned to what I'm looking for. So I said, if I do that on a daily basis, why don't I just swap out some of those keywords and move it towards an actual job search? Okay. So that's basically how I got to that. And in regards to the previous podcast that you had, everything mentioned in there was something that I have done or was doing. But when I look at it big picture, and I'll be getting to this here in a little bit as well, when I look at the big picture, I like to make my searches smaller, more manageable. I like a more direct search. And so I will get into that here in a little bit. That's my main thing. So it's basically a continuation to what was mentioned just a couple of weeks ago.
Very cool. So Mark, how would you like to launch into this? Because I know that there's going to be kind of an element of you and David working together and presenting certain.
Yeah. So I think I think David's got like a cool presentation here, which I think we can, we'll bring up here and share with the audience.
Sweet.
Check this out. Okay. Let me share my screen and then David, you can take it away. Let me know if you can see that.
Yes, we can see this.
All right.
All yours, David.
All right. I know I was mentioning a little bit about myself before, but just as a quick recap, 9 years of experience. I've worked in multiple industries: aviation, technology, and construction. Construction, I was just starting to dabble in prior to the unfortunate layoff.
Right.
I've had a lot of exposure. When I first started recruiting, what actually got me into it was I was working as a marketing associate for an aviation company. Things were going really well. Business was good. We were selling a lot of items, and my boss had said we need more individuals. We need more mechanics. We need more aircraft technicians,
Mhm.
painters, and that's actually what got me into recruiting. And it was definitely different. I was in a small town in Oklahoma. We were we were in an area that no one really wanted to move to in the northwest area of Oklahoma. So I went. It was putting ads in paper. That's how it started for me.
Okay.
I like there was no budget really, so I couldn't do anything on Indeed. I was going to free, career fairs, stuff like that, where we didn't have to put down any money to, have a booth or whatnot.
Right.
And so that is what got me into it. And then, long story short, I ended up starting a program, a class with the company. With the owner's blessing, I went and worked with some retired military individuals,
Hmm.
a local technical vocational school, and we put together a aviation class. And so now all of a sudden, my recruiting went into finding these technical or people who want to be technical mechanics, engineers, technicians, and finding if they want to be part of the program.
Okay.
And so it kind of switched a little bit, but I really enjoyed what the impact I had for the company and those individuals moving from maybe it was an auto mechanic, or maybe it was something that they had just graduated and they weren't sure what they wanted to do. And now they were going to be an aircraft technician, an aircraft engineer. And
Okay.
so that's basically how I got started, moved to Florida, um, staffing world, and then Amazon, Meta, and then here I am today.
Very cool. Well, thank you for that.
Nice.
All right.
So in regards to the job search, I mentioned before how there's a lot of talk about LinkedIn and the amount of applicants that are applying, to these opportunities. And
Right.
there's many different places that you can go. You can go to LinkedIn, you can go to Indeed and other job boards. My preference is direct to a career site or networking.
Okay.
As I mentioned, or as I have listed right here, there are many options. There's no right way. If you can do all four,
Hmm.
awesome. If there's more than four, but if you can do every way possible, awesome. Just upping that chance of finding an opportunity. But so far
Absolutely.
for me, the interviews that I have had and that I'm still in the running for have either come from networking itself or from direct career sites, applying to those. So LinkedIn, Indeed, it really hasn't been fruitful for me so far,
Hmm.
but still overall kind of early in my job search. So we'll see what happens in the
Say
future.
really quickly. No, this is probably totally jumping off in a left field, but networking. Yeah, we know what that is. But do you have a preferred method of doing this? I mean, do you use LinkedIn obviously to do networking through the Career Premium site, or what is your approach to doing that?
So I have two different ways of approaching networking. The more personal,
Hmm.
in-person route.
Okay.
I have two small kids, 7 and 4. I'm very good friends with their parents, and I let them
Gotcha.
know, hey, this is what's going on. Let me know if you have any opportunities, if
Okay.
your company is hiring, and it actually has worked into conversations. I am in the mix
Wow.
for some potential opportunities. The other way is using LinkedIn,
Hmm.
but looking at and speaking to individuals that I have worked with previously, people
Sure.
that I have helped place, talking to them, those who I knew that I made a positive impact on. And
Yeah.
so reaching out to them to see how can or how can they, get my information across to their previous company, current company, whatever it may be.
Excellent. Thank you. Sorry for that diversion there.
No worries. So career search. Going direct to a company is my ideal way. Uh,
Hmm.
and you'll see in the next couple of slides here how there's different avenues of doing it. I know it was touched on a couple of weeks ago or a week ago in regards to the in URL searches,
Hmm.
but going direct to a company's site, to their page, their career page, creating a Boolean string, a Google search that have job description keywords in it. That's what helps me kind of narrow down all the noise of a search and go into the actual career site of company XYZ, and
Mhm.
I'm looking for maybe 3 to 10 years of experience, 5 to 10 years, and we'll go into that here a little bit. But that's my big thing. Um,
So really quickly here,
so using
sorry to interrupt.
site colon in your, yeah.
Hey, Dave, really quickly, I want to put a question out to people who are listening, and the reason being is because I feel like I've totally missed the boat here in terms of utilizing things like Boolean search, even at LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, but Google. How many people actually use or knew about Boolean search who aren't sourcers or recruiters or coders? If you're a marketer, if you're a communications person, if you're customer service, customer success, sales, do you use Boolean search? Because if you do, I really need to polish up my skills because I'm so far behind everybody here. But anyway, I digress. I apologize for interrupting. It's back to you.
Well, I think also too,
Oh,
I think a lot of people they don't know that they have that possibility, or they just assume that like the words that they type in will just kind of like get the job done.
right.
And that's just not the case, right?
But that's my approach, and that's been my approach my whole career, basically. So to have these kind of like epiphanies while live on a podcast, yeah, I feel vastly underprepared for my job searches.
And when I was putting together these slides, and as we go into them, there's going to be multiple roles, not just recruiting. I'm a recruiter. Yes, I want to, look for myself and whatnot, but I wanted to make sure that, who sees this video does kind of see there are different ways, or you can use these key terms, keywords for any role possible, whether you are a nurse or accounting or recruiting manager. But yes, in regards to, a lot of people don't know Boolean or how to use it. The
Right.
ands, the ors, the sites, the in URLs. And hopefully, as I go through some of these next slides, I'll be able to break it down a little bit more, make it a little bit easier for individuals to search, on their own.
Great.
Yeah, but overall, though, my most common searches, as mentioned on the bottom, revolve around careers dot asterisk or wildcard or site colon asterisk.com/careers. And this
Okay.
allows me to focus on the actual career page of a company, whether it is, I'll just use Meta, their direct career site, Amazon, their direct career site, or a smaller company. But by using that asterisk, that wild card, that
Hmm.
basically is in place of any specific word. So
Yep.
blank.com, that blank, that asterisk goes in with whatever it wants to, anything and everything.
Right.
And why? And can you maybe for the audience say why going to the company job site first is a good thing?
So when I started going into it, I was really hoping to beat the potential rush. A lot of companies will post on their site first about their roles, and I think if they don't have a lot of traction, they then go to LinkedIn and Indeed. So I'm hoping that as I am searching for these opportunities, and then another thing I believe I mentioned in the slides is I comb it down to within the last 24 hours or the last week.
Hmm.
Ideally, I like to do 24 hours because I am looking at the newest positions every day, every other day.
Right.
But over the weekend, maybe it's a Monday or a Tuesday, I will look at the past 7 days to see what did come out Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, potentially Monday.
Okay.
So I'm looking to beat the punch, hopefully.
Yeah, good.
So career site search. Here's one of the examples that I typically use. It's not very big. It's not too complicated.
Hmm.
So when I first start the actual search itself, site colon allows you to focus on a specific, it might be a domain or it might be a company site, but you can put down .com, you can put down just com, org, AI, IO.
Hmm.
For me, when I'm doing these searches, doing a site colon careers or site colon site.com/careers allows me to, and I'm sorry if you hear my dog coughing in the background.
No
13-year-old
worries.
dog. He's
He's being
definitely,
immortalized right now.
yeah, he's definitely feeling it today with the weather that we're having. But by having that site colon with the careers or the com/careers, I really like that opportunity to once again directly go to a career page, go
Right.
directly to a company that I'm interested in and see what they have available.
Hmm.
Or maybe an industry, or the big picture is like having that wild card, which hopefully you can see on that little snippet there,
Right.
careers dot wildcard. That could be careers dot company name, or if
Yeah.
their actual URL is different, maybe it's careers dot apply now dot company dot com. Like it's just that wildcard is filling in the blank, and as long as you get a careers in it, it's what I'm most interested in.
So not to get overly technical, but if I was under the impression that if you had additional characters after a term that you have defined, you have to have that asterisk or a question mark to compensate for the missing um words. But I guess my other question is, because we talked about this a couple weeks ago with regard to doing a site search on specific job boards or career boards within a corporate structure. Most companies I found do have that subdomain as careers dot whatever the company name is. But as Mark pointed out, also there are a number of companies that don't use it as a subdomain. Rather, they use it as a what is it? Just a page on their website. So
Yeah,
it'd be
folder.
yeah, you're right, folder. So company.com/jobs or /careers. So this I wouldn't imagine would pick those up, would it?
This specific setup that I have here would not.
Okay.
This is looking specifically for like that subdomain, not the actual folder of careers.
Okay.
And actually, the next slide, which we'll get to here in a minute, I do have that site.com/careers because there are multiple ways.
Yeah.
And before
go ahead. Sorry.
before I dive into just a little bit more, like on what do I have here?
Yeah.
When I first started doing my job search and I was looking for different opportunities, what was mentioned about 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, the in URL careers, the in title careers, I
Right.
definitely was using that, and I still am today. It allows me I mix my searches up basically.
Okay.
But when you have in URL careers, you're basically, for me, it's you're getting everything, which is great. Like, don't get me wrong, that is fantastic. You are getting a chance to see all the different things, all the different sites that have careers in the URL.
Right.
But when I source, even if it's for a candidate, I like to have a more specific search. Like I want to be able to comb through something that's manageable, and then I jump on to
Sure.
something else. And to me, if I were to do a in URL careers, or if I were to do something like this, site colon careers dot asterisk, or site colon dot com/careers, it messes with the algorithm, and that's my main thing. I don't want to see the same roles over and over again. I want to be able
Okay.
to mess with Google, I mean, you can even do something on Bing or whatnot if you have a different search engine that you like. But
Right.
I want to be able to find new opportunities, mess with the algorithm, and that's a big thing for this.
Okay. And do me a favor before you, if you're going to move on, before you do, take a look at the string right after the one in parentheses. Um, 3 to 10 years. You want to explain that? I know what that means, but just in case, you know, other
Yes.
non-technical people don't.
So ideally, I want to try to find opportunities that are more aligned to my years of experience. I want to
Sure.
try to stay away from maybe a junior or an intern opportunity. And even though my 9 years is greater than three, a
Yeah.
lot of companies will put 3+ years. They'll put
Right.
three, 3 to 5, 3 to 10. And so I don't want to get rid of those 3+ years. And so
Hmm.
by putting 3.10, it will pull up anything in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, up to 10 years. So
Okay.
it will look for any number, as long as you have, or sorry, any number with years, as long as you have the quotations around it, making it that it's a direct phrase. You're looking for the actual phrase 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
I would say someone wanted to do a search that encompassed everything from 3 years up. Would you just take the 10 out?
No,
I,
because you don't know what they're going. You don't know what the company's going to write. Like the company can write 10, they can write 12, they can write 20. You just don't know. I mean, I would just if you're really trying to capture like anything up, I would just put 3 dot dot like 20, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
no job description is going to say like, hey, you need to have 20 years of whatever to do this job. Like no one's going to write that.
I've seen
exactly,
that
yeah.
actually, where you're going to be a VP and they say you need 20 years of being a VP. I'm like, okay, so the people
So
that you're looking for are 80 years old. That's great. Cool.
Yeah, and I really like using this specific I'll call it an operator, the dot dot, even when I'm sourcing for candidates. So when I was working in that construction space, I was needing to find individuals that had projects of like 400 million and up. And
Okay.
so for me, I was putting 400 dot dot 999 and
hmm
then M or million or whatnot, just to kind of see who has that listed on their profile, their resume or whatnot, anything
Okay.
above 400. So I really like using that dot dot operator.
Nice. Okay. That's a new one
yeah.
for me too in this particular situation. So thank you.
All right, so to continue what we have going here, this is the other side of it. So we spoke about that subdomain having the careers dot, asterisk.com. This one is on the opposite side, like that folder, that additional page where it's going to be .com/careers,
Okay.
because companies do it differently. And so you have to think about how else can I find, these direct career sites. And
Okay.
so I was finding these actually through the in URL search operator. So basically, when I was first starting, I was noticing a trend of companies were either putting in the careers at the front, the careers at the back. So that's why I have it broken down here. And
Okay.
once again, semicolon, that asterisk, that wild card is what they call it as an operator, fills in any specific word that falls before .com /careers. And if you want to make it even larger, I'm not sure if I cover this or not in the actual itself, but you can put multiple wildcards. You can put that asterisk dot asterisk
Yeah.
/careers. So it's basically company name dot com dot org dot AI dot O /careers. So just note that you're not limited to just that one asterisk, that one wild card. You can have multiple in
Right.
your string.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That
then
the
I
wild
have
cards.
something else that I use here is software. You'll see software developer or engineer. Basically, they call it harvesting, where you're able to look at software developer or software engineer. So as
hmm
long as the entire thing is in quotes, you know that software is a constant. You know that that's always going to be there. Then
Yeah.
you have your or statement, developer or engineer. So it's looking for software developer or software engineer. So if you know
Okay.
that there are multiple titles that can be used for your role, you can do something like this just to kind of encompass it all.
Super cool.
Then I
Okay.
have the continuation of the years of experience for 10 years or senior, if you're looking for maybe a senior software developer, software engineer role. And
hmm
then I started to add in some locations as well. So in the first one, in the previous slide, there was no location. So whenever you actually looked at it, you were going to see that the rules were all over, unfortunately.
Okay.
So by putting in remote, virtual, or the state that you're located in, Florida, California, Washington, or you can just do
Sure.
it by city, it'll help narrow down that list even more to something that is ideal for you.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
And then underneath, I think it's like the third little snippet down, you'll see a combination of the two as well. Now, I don't combine them very often because once again, I like a very specific search where maybe it's only like 10 to 20 roles and I just go ahead and comb through those and I switch it up. But if you aren't finding much, maybe your role only has 3, you've had 3 new ones over the last 24 hours and you quickly go through those, you can combine them with an or statement,
Okay.
allowing you to get a broader search going. And then another thing that I wanted to add in here, which I don't know if or how fruitful it would be, but if you take a look at the 94101 dot dot 94118, those are zip codes for the San Francisco area. So maybe you
Oh,
are
okay.
searching in the Bay Area for an opportunity. You can put San Francisco or Bay Area or the zip codes. And that is basically going to be looking for anything in between 94101 and 94118, which are all of the San Francisco zip codes. So
Okay.
maybe someone does have, or sorry, a company does have listed their location and they have like the zip code address on there for some reason. That's just another way of finding location-based results.
This is cool. Yeah, I would have never thought of any of these. So I'm getting more value out of this than you guys are, I'm thinking.
So I did want to quickly just touch on the domain search. So I mentioned before how you could do like wildcard. You can do, company name, .com, .ai, .org. So you don't have to be specific for a company. So it's a
Mhm.
kind of a continuation of the previous podcast that you had where you have the in URL careers, but kind of putting in I like to be a little bit more specific and then I kind of comb through it by adding a site .com, site .net or org, AI,
Mhm.
IO, CO. This allows you to search like that specific domain, and then you're looking for in URL careers or in title careers.
Okay.
So it's still, if you just put down an in URL careers and title careers, you're going to more than likely get all of these results in one. But once again, I like to be able to have something reasonable where I don't feel overwhelmed and I don't see like I have 25 more pages to go to. Like I can just comb through what I have and feel confident about that. Maybe that's my goal for the day. Go through that
Mhm.
specific one. The next day I'll go to the next, whatever it may be. So that is another way of doing what was mentioned during the last podcast.
Right.
Just being a little bit more specific in your searches.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute Mark here since he is having that conversation. All right, Mark, you're muted.
Okay, I'm
And Mark, if you
good.
do have
We're good.
anything else to add to any of this, feel free to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is a good way to kind of slice and dice, because if you just do like the in your all careers, like you said, and in title, you'll get everything, but there's no way you could look at it all because Google is going to limit your search results to 300 at a time anyways. So even if you're like, I have it all, you won't be able to see it all. So you might as well find ways to kind of slice and dice up the data by doing things like, the careers dot and then whatever the domain is, or just do site.com and then do in URL careers or titles and divide it up that way. And then of course pick the domains that are the most common, right? Pick the .com, .net, .org if you're looking at like, again, like government sites or state county sites, or even like medical, hospitals, state sponsored, like, hospitals, medical centers. And then some of the common ones like, IO, AI, those are good, CO. And then of course, if you're in other countries, for those of you who are, looking around worldwide, you would do like site UK, or you would do site IE, or if you're feeling really daring, site RU. So, but whatever it is, you can narrow down the results and be able to look at all of them as long as you look at them in kind of like bite-sized chunks.
That makes
And that kind of
absolute
goes back
sense.
to the whole messing with the algorithm piece, trying to find something different, something new that you
Right.
haven't seen before.
Nice.
Cool. All right, next slide here.
So for the next slide, basically going to be just a couple of examples of what you could potentially do. So site:com, you're taking away the company name, you're taking away the dot, you're taking away the careers. It's just com, just AI, just IO, as you can kind of see in the two different examples there.
Mm-hmm.
You are just looking directly into that. And then you have the in URL careers and title careers. Then go ahead and add in your specific title that you're looking for. responsibility, qualification, education. This is so when I was doing a com search, AI search, you are going to get a little bit more noise because you're not searching um, a direct career page because you might see how it says in URL careers or entitled careers.
Mm-hmm.
So in title, if something comes up, it may not be a career page. So I tried to think of what is something that every job description has, and its responsibilities or qualifications or education. So by putting in some additional keywords, it will cut down on some of that noise and allow you to focus on specific sites or web pages that have those specific terms in it.
Okay.
And then once again, 15 years, I'm looking for a specific career site, job description that does have that specific years of experience.
Got it. Okay.
And then in the one underneath that, site AI, site IO org, I just wanted to show that you can combine it too, if you want to. Once again, if you're not finding a lot of results in that specific initial search that you had, feel free to put down a combination of them with an or statement, allowing you to focus on just more opportunity. And then you'll also see the in URL careers or jobs. So the jobs I was finding was more like staffing based or maybe job board based, but you're still going to find now other sites that basically have jobs.companyname.com. So you can also do that as well. You could take away careers, you could put down jobs instead of that. But I've noticed that it's more job board based
Okay.
than an actual career site.
Mark, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. When you're looking for a job too, like if you just find like the one job posted on a random career page, it's like hidden amongst all this other junk. And then the words that you wanted for the job are spread out amongst a bunch of job postings. So it's never really works out the way you want it to. So that's why it's, if you do want to go to a career site, we're not trying to knock any career sites, but if you do want to go to a career site, just go to the career site, but don't get the results of that career site mixed into your search that you're trying to do here.
Yep. Okay. And don't get me wrong, Indeed, Career Builder, I mean, those are definitely great opportunities. You're going to see a lot of different listings. My main thing, though, is to try to get to that before they actually start listing them on the different career sites.
Right.
So you've done all this work. You have different searches going for you, and now we have Google alerts. So for a Google alert, as a sourcer, as a recruiter, we really don't want to keep on doing or looking at the same search over and over again, the same candidates over and over. So we will automate things a little bit. We will have LinkedIn or whatever platform that we're using let us know if someone else has become available, if something new has popped up. So by doing a Google alert, by going to google.com/alerts, you can save that specific search that you just did. You've combed through it. Maybe there was 15 results on it. And you're like, okay, I want to make sure that, the next day or maybe once a week, I'm going to be informed of new opportunities that come up with that search. So you can go to google.com/alerts. At the very top, you'll see this purplish blue thing that says alerts, create an alert about. You will type in or copy and paste the string into that, and then basically save it. There are some options that I'll show here on the next slide, but it's pretty straightforward. And this will allow you to get notified of the new listings, the new opportunities, but it'll give you a chance to mess with your string, see what else you can do to find new opportunities.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me where you don't have to actually automate. Sorry, go ahead.
My dog was also coughing at the same time you were speaking. So
yeah, it makes a lot more sense to me because I mean, as kind of a tech noob, I don't know if I'd call it noob at this point, but as someone who's not overly technical or overly aware of Boolean searches and strings, this makes some sense because then I can do it once and just make sure it keeps regenerating every however often I need it to generate. So that's super cool.
Yeah. And then this is the continuation of the site. So basically, you type in what your specific string is. There's an option that says show options, and you can make it once a day, once a week, as they come in. Which I don't know if you are maybe a software engineer. I don't know if you want to do it as they come in, because you might be getting pinged quite a bit, because a lot of companies are still, from my understanding, looking for engineers
Yeah.
at various levels. And so you might be getting a lot of pings as those come in. But by doing it once, at most once a day, every
Yeah.
morning or afternoon or something like that, you'll have it come in. You can look at the new searches and
Right.
go from there.
I think in a situation that I'm in, so I have a role that isn't overly well known apparently by most job sites. And when I type it in, analyst relations, they're like, what the hell is that? You want to be an analyst of this? You want to be a relations person of this? I'm like, okay, well, no. So if I were to do that, I'd be doing it as they come in, because I'll get a ping once every 3 weeks, which is just fine with me.
So the next couple of slides, and the final 2 slides I have here, is being able to utilize ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are unsure of the different Boolean operators, or you're trying to figure out, I don't know where to get started,
Yeah.
ChatGPT is actually really good for that. You can mess with it. You can tell it what you're looking for, what role you're looking for. So let the AI help you with your search. Let it know what you're looking for. You can be specific in searching for jobs. You can have it, and we'll get into this in a second, help with your resume, help with a cover letter, just to kind of give you a place to start. So when I'm looking at ChatGPT, how can it create a Boolean string for you? So for an example here, I put down generate a domain search using Google operators to find a website career page for recruitment or sourcer or talent acquisition roles that require 5 to 10 years of experience.
Okay.
And so it says certainly, and it kind of gives a little breakdown, and then it says site : wildcard.com/careers, recruitment or sourcer or talent acquisition. So and then continues from there. So it'll give you somewhere to start, and I think that's the key. Now, when I look at this as an experienced sourcer, I would probably mess with it a little bit in cleaning it up and whatnot. But for someone who is new to it, you're not a recruiter, you're not a sourcer, you're not quite sure what the different operators are, it's a great place to start. At least gives you that foundation.
So this is cool. I'm curious though. So do you have to be? I mean, I imagine you have to be pretty thoughtful in terms of how you pose the question to the AI, right? I mean, or will it intuit? I mean, I guess that's the wrong word to use, because we are not Borg, for you Star Trek fans out there. But um, did it actually generate that string exactly, or did you have to modify it?
No, this is the copy and paste of what it was. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it gave me.
there's an error kind of in there, but
Yeah.
like the 5.10, like that's not. I think they're trying to do like a number range, but that's clearly not right.
What do you have to leave the space between the last delimiter?
Or I mean, just don't put it in. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's like I said, there's a couple of things on there that I'd probably mess with and clean up a little bit. But for someone who's not in the field, it's a good place to start to kind of give you an idea of what you can be doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can. What I like about the program is that, or the platform, or whatever you want to call it, is that you can just continue a conversation with it. And maybe that's not what you're looking for. You can set in, like, right underneath it, I could put down, can we make it .gov sites and 10 plus years of experience instead? Just like that. And it'll just populate a brand new string with what I'm, now looking for, just based off of its previous answer.
So I'm embarrassed to say this, but I don't have any real experience with Chat GPT, even though I come from the AI space. It's just kind of blown my mind. Now, so what it does is it retains the query, until you leave the page, or how does that work?
So I don't know the full on, but yes, like if you go, you can actually skip to the next page. I can kind of answer the question through that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for instance, write a cover letter. So it says ask for it to create a cover letter based on your resume or job description. So if I've actually had to apply to a couple of places where they require a cover letter as part of the packet, I guess.
Okay.
And I had one already created, but I went ahead and said generate, or sorry, take the following cover letter and make it more impactful, focused on X, Y, and Z. And then I
Okay.
just shift and enter to go down a space, put in the cover letter I had, and then it gave me a similar, very similar
Hmm.
cover letter, but there was more impact in it. It did kind of speak more, to use different words, more impactful words, as well. So, and then I remember right after that saying reword the last sentence, and it spit out the entire thing again, and then with a different last sentence. So
Wow.
it will continue to remember what that basic conversation
Yeah.
is, and it'll continue to build off of that.
Okay, that's cool. And looks like Mark has to actually exit the call because he has a call with a recruiter. Mark, good luck to you. We will chat with you on the next round. I will continue the conversation with David.
Good
So,
times. Thanks, dude.
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
All right. See you guys.
See you. So, this is super interesting. I mean, oh right, he was running the presentation. So, all right, but
Well,
but
that was the
basic.
last slide, luckily. So
Well, that's good. What I would say though is that in a situation where you're using Chat GPT, the one thing I have learned is that if you are so trusting of the AI that you don't review before you submit it, you are you are doing yourself a great disservice because while it has come a long way in terms of the content that it can generate and how relevant that content is to your ask, um, yeah, there are times when you want to know what it says because it's not going to be spot on. So,
absolutely, and you don't want to create a different picture of yourself as well. Like when I had it reword my cover letter, it was very, very similar. Like I said, this is some more impactful words, but I
yeah,
still ran through it a couple of times, just make sure that everything on there was true, about me.
absolutely.
So you definitely want to do that. And then I also used it to create a summary for me. So on my resume at the very
Mhm.
top, I like to have this a brief summary. And I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to use it or how I wanted it to be worded. So
Okay.
I basically copy and pasted my entire resume into the chat GPT and asked it to create a summary based off of this information. And
Oh,
it was
that's
pretty
cool.
lengthy. It was like a full-on like 8 sentence paragraph. But then I would tell it, focus more on diversity, focus
Hmm.
more on the responsibilities of a recruiter.
Okay.
And it would reword it. And I would tell it, shorten it down by half. And once again, it would reword it. And it gave me a really good starting point. I went ahead and, basically made it more my verbiage,
Sure.
how I
Sure.
would want it to sound, and how I wanted to look and feel basically.
Hmm.
And it's one of the biggest things I've noticed about myself, and I know many people the same way. It's really hard to talk about yourself.
Right. Right.
It's as recruiters. I would hope I would know how to interview, but I've been on plenty of interviews, and all of a sudden I'm like, man, I need to talk about myself. Like talking
Right.
about yourself is different. It's
It,
different than like,
it
I know all
absolutely
the
is.
answers of an interview. I know
Right.
exactly what I should be focusing on, but when it comes to like me, I'm like, oh man,
We don't have
that's
to talk about
I need to
me.
figure this out. And so ChatGPT, at least for the resume aspect
Right.
of it, the cover letter, it will help you uh, get that verb going, and then you can take it from there.
Okay. All good tips. Well, so this has been really, really insightful. I'm gonna have to go back and just actually try Chat GPT. I can't even say it. Chat GPT. Because the way I'm seeing this, the more I hear about it, and the more I speak with people about it, the more I realize that pretty soon, in the next few years, hopefully, I won't have to worry about creating a resume. Even here's what I do, Chat GPT. Now, go ahead and create a resume for me and then go do a search for all of these jobs and just do a blanket apply, please. That'd be great. Thanks. I'm going to go ahead and go to the coffee shop and pretend that I'm writing. So, anyway, Well, hey, David, this has been super cool. Very much appreciate you reaching out and for your time today. Do you have any final words or wisdom to impart to our listeners?
I don't know if I have any other wisdom. I know we covered a lot. I don't want to, when it comes to sourcing, recruiting, I can definitely speak for a long time on it. And so this is kind of scratching the surface of everything. But
Right.
if individuals do have questions, if they do need some additional insight, I am more than happy to help out. It's the reason why I got this out to begin with,
Yeah.
via a post that I had made or multiple posts I've made. It's just, I know there's a lot of people right now in various industries, various roles looking for opportunities. So, I'll help how I can as I continue to search as well.
That's very kind of you, and I'm sure our listeners appreciate it. So, once again, we were joined today by David Puente, who is an industry sourcer, formerly of Meta, and a number of other companies as well that I am not remembering yet, but Meta. And so, David, thank you so much for your time. And for those of you listening, if you have questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us. I will link David's name and LinkedIn profile in the post. And then if you have any questions or further comments, or would you like us to examine additional topics that we may not have discussed yet, you can reach out to me at scott@arphilic.com. That's Scott at arphilic.com. So for now, we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up and look forward to speaking you on the next episode. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.